Hello everyone and welcome back to Phoenix Wright, Justice for All. We are coming up to the tail end of this series now, guys. We have one more trial to get through. Well, two, because we have this first part and then the finale trial part to prove... Actually, we're no longer trying to prove that Matt is innocent, because he is not innocent. He is the client of the assassin that killed Juan. But as the defense lawyer, we can't say that because they're the laws, and it's like, it's so stupid. Like, honestly. And they don't record anything in the detention center to help prove that sort of information, like admitting, yeah, I'm the client, scars across my face. I don't know. This is why I avoid things like law. Because if I don't need to worry about breaking I don't break the laws, so I don't really worry about that sort of stuff. And I'm also not a lawyer. I watched a few lawyer shows. I watch crime shows, but... Anyways, guys, we're going to jump into this and see how we're going to actually save Maya, which is the reason why we're doing all of this in the first place. Huff, huff. How did I get into this mess? Oh, I'm having the nightmare. That's far enough. You can't run forever, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Oh, we're back to having a nightmare. What have I done wrong? I cannot allow you to go on like this. Huh? But I'm just a simple defense attorney. Silence! You are no longer worthy of your title. I've had this dream before, someplace, some time ago. As if this day was written into my destiny. Today, I'll stand in court as a lawyer to prove a killer innocent. March 23rd, 9:43 a.m. District Court Defendant, Lobby number 3. Beep. Hello, this is Phoenix Wright. You don't look so well, dude. You're gonna prove me not guilty today, right? Seriously, guards at the door. If you please, Mr. Lawyer. Remember, it's not just me. Your precious friend's life is riding on today's verdict, too. Now listen up. You'd better get Engarde a guilty sentence. If you get that creepy slime ball and not guilty, I'll never forgive you. Ever. Maya. Phoenix. Phoenix. Mia. Maya, how's Maya? I don't know. You don't know? She hasn't tried to channel me since yesterday. Mia. What am I supposed to do? Well, like I said, for a lawyer, the worst of times are when you have to force the biggest smiles. But you can't give up. There's still some hope left. Stop it, please. There's nothing left, not here, not anywhere. It's that accursed Engarde again. I don't know why my nose is runny. Will you leave me alone? Look, don't call me anymore. I mean it. You're really mean, pal. Gumshoe, I'm really sorry. Where are you? They let me join the investigation team and we're chasing after the killer, pal. Then you have some sort of lead? Sorry, but right now we've got 0 leads on the guy. But we're not going to give up. Gumshoe, until the trial is over, until the verdict is handed out, We're going to do everything we can to find the killer. If we can get Maya out, then you can get Engarde the guilty verdict he deserves. That's true. I could do that if they found Maya first. You got that? So you have to do whatever you can to make the trial last longer. I have to make the trial last longer? If you go at Mr. Edgeworth with everything you've got, then you two can draw it out. Now I get it. I believe in you, pal. You and Mr. Edgeworth can do it. So, believe in us. We're going to give it our all. We're going to give it our, sometimes sentence structures. We're going to give it all we've got, just like you. Got it. Thanks, Gumshoe. Hey, Phoenix. You understand now, don't you? You have something money will never be able to buy. Friendship. It's the strongest weapon in the world, and you have it in abundance. Yeah. Looks like we're coming to the end. And I have to make the trial last as long as I can. Gumshoe will come through. I know it. Court is now in session for the trial of Matt Engarde. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution has been ready for a while, Your Honor. Now, as I recall, we concluded yesterday's session with a big mystery on our hands. The mystery being what exactly was Miss Adrian Andrews' role in this murder. That is to say, is she really connected to the crime itself? Mr. Edgeworth, if you would please inform the court of today's proceeding. Adrian Andrews. She forged evidence that threw suspicion onto Mr. Engarde, and then proceeded to escape the crime scene by wearing a nickel samurai costume. The guilt of these actions are those from which she cannot escape. Then you're saying that she is guilty after all. I'm not finished, Your Honor. Miss Andrews has nothing to do with committing the actual murder. I would like to direct the court's attention to this card. What is that? It looks like a shell. This is the calling card of a certain assassin. Assassin, you say? Yes. Juan Carita was killed by a professional assassin, and the person who hired the assassin, his client so to speak, is Matt Engarde. What a surprising turn of events. I would think it's becoming commonplace by now, Your Honor. I know what's going on this time, so I know that everything Edgeworth has said is true, but we still have to hold out as long as we can, at least until Maya's safe and sound. I wonder how the trial will end out today. Now then, please call your first witness, Mr. Edgeworth. The prosecution calls the defendant's mentor, Mr. Will Powers, to the stand. Now then, witness, your name and occupation, please. Okay. I'm, Will Powers. I'm a poor, underpaid action star. And what is your relation to the defendant? Well, I guess I'm sort of a lousy mentor to him in a way, yeah. Mr. Powers, please, you don't need to put yourself down so much. Oh, sorry. Well, but I am kind of a nothing sort of guy. On the night of the murder, you visited the defendant's room. Is this correct? Yes. I didn't know that. But you know, I didn't actually get to see Matt when I went. All you need to do is answer what you're asked. Now then, I would like you to please testify about when you went to Mr. Engarde's room. Okay, sure. Visit to Matt's room. After the award ceremony, I went by myself to Matt's room. Matt was standing there in front of his room, still in his nickel samurai costume. He was talking with someone. At first, I thought it was the bellboy. I watched the two of them for a while, then I gave up and went back. I had guests with me that night, and I couldn't make them wait for me. Nothing sounds out of place in Mr. Powers' testimony. And talking with the bellboy is no big deal. If one assumes that the person Mr. Engarde is speaking with was an ordinary bellboy, what are you implying? I don't have any juice. Well, Mr. Wright, let's have your cross-examination, shall we? Looks like we're in another sticky situation. A trap. Can't you smell it, Phoenix? But for us to find out more, we're going to have to charge in head first, right? Okay. So there's no evidence to contradict him, so let's press. The defendant's room. Why did you go there? Well, I'm his mentor. I'm like a big brother of sorts, and I wanted to say congrats. What's wrong? Why did you stop? Mr. Wright, what is it? You're going to try to trick me into a corner, aren't you? Huh? I know I'm just a poor underpaid action star, but I'm not the killer. No one said you were, Mr. Powers. No, please don't trick me. Every time you do your lawyer thing, the witness suddenly turns into the bad guy. Oh my goodness! That's so true! Witness, I will personally talk to the defense at a later time. So for now, please kindly cooperate and continue with your testimony. It's so true though, we constantly are blaming a witness and they instantly become the bad guy. Will doesn't want to be the bad guy. That's why I was scared to testify. So you went to the defendant's room and then, wait a minute, when and how did I suddenly turn into the bad guy here? Matt was standing there in front of his room, still in his nickel samurai outfit. Are you sure that was Matt Engarde? Yeah, I'm sure. He wasn't wearing the nickel samurai mask then. If that's the case, then he really can't be mistaken. And what was the defense doing in front of his own room? He was talking with someone. At first I thought it was the bellboy. At first? What do you mean by that? Well, he was in a bellboyish uniform and he had a bottle of juice on a tray. Sounds like an ordinary bellboy to me. Yeah, but I didn't think he was a normal bellboy. And why was that? Why did I think that, Mr. Wright? How am I supposed to know? Sorry, but I can't remember right now. Sorry. I guess I'm going to have to wait patiently on this one. I watched the two of them for a while, but then gave up and went back. You saw the two of them, the bellboy and the defendant, together, correct? Yeah, the bellboy just wanted to say congrats. Now, while you were watching the two of them, did you notice anything strange? You know, I did feel something weird. I think it was because Matt, well, he gave the bellboy a tip. A tip. That's a perfectly normal thing to do. How long did you watch the two of them? Not more than a minute or two, I think. I had guests with me that night, and I couldn't make them wait for me. So who are these guests you are talking about? You guys, of course. You and Maya and Little Pearl. I thought it would be really rude since I invited you guys if I disappeared on you. So I went back to my seat pretty soon after seeing Matt in the hallway. This is like squeezing water from a stone. It's probably pointless to press further. Do you remember this incident? Did Mr. Powers leave his seat that night? I don't remember that happening at all. Maya was making such a racket in her hyper state. I ended up focusing on her. I see. In any case, from this story, he probably wasn't gone for very long. Okay, so there has to be some sort of evidence that I present. Actually, Mr. Powers, only a few minutes ago you stated. You know, I did feel something weird. I think it was because Matt, well, he gave the bellboy a tip. Could it be that you felt something strange about the tip-giving incident itself? Yeah, that's it. You really know your job. Mr. Edgeworth. Yes, Your Honor. This bellboy, he wasn't an ordinary one, was he? Perhaps we should let the witness tell us. Very well. Mr. Powers, please amend your testimony. Matt gave the bellboy a tip. So he gave the bellboy a tip. What's so strange about that? Well, you see, Matt's not a poor penny pincher like me. I was trying to figure out how much it was because the tip really shocked me. How much it was. But that's when something even more surprising happened. The bellboy was putting the tip he got in his pocket. And that's when I got my first good look at the guy's face. And was really shocked. I'm afraid I don't follow at all. I wonder which of his shocked moments I should ask about. Let's ask about the face. What was is it the face? He wasn't exactly a boy, more like a gramps. Oh. Almost like it was a thread snapped. All the stuff in his head would come spilling out. Ah, he was there at Engarde's house. He was that butler. What is it, Mr. Wright? Nothing, Your Honor. So that means Engarde was talking to the killer then. If that fact were to be exposed, Engarde would be declared guilty in a blink. Yes, Chief. What did you say, Your Honor? Nothing, Mr. Wright, nothing. We're going round in circles. Okay, so I had responded to the wrong thing. I can't go with the obvious answer this time around. How much was it? I'm afraid I don't understand. So we're gonna go with the tip. The defendant is a huge star. He can afford to give generous tips, don't you agree? Sure. But giving him that much was maybe a little too much, I think. A little too much? Would you please clarify for the court about how much would you say the defendant gave the bellboy? Honestly, I don't know. I can't even begin to guess. And why is that? Because he gave the bellboy a really, really fat roll of cash. A roll of cash. Well, how interesting. That certainly was a very generous tip, wasn't it? A very fat roll of cash? That can hardly be called a tip, Your Honor. The judge is beginning to look awfully suspicious of us. There's nothing I can really object to here. I mean, who can argue that a fat roll of money isn't really odd? So, supposing that roll of cash was not a tip, then what was it? Payment, Your Honor. Payment. Isn't it obvious? For the murder of Juan Carita. Then the bellboy the witness saw, yes, he was the assassin. Hold your horses now, Mr. Edgeworth. You don't have any proof of this, do you? Have I ever been unprepared to support my claims, Your Honor? I have here the card Shelley the Killer left at the scene of the crime. Shelley the Killer? Here's the person the police's special investigations team has been chasing for ages. I am certain that the person the witness saw was this very assassin, Shelley the Killer. Really? What's wrong, Mr. Powers? No, nothing. Something just clicked in my head, and I think I just figured something out. Oh? Actually, I saw the bellboy again later on that night. What? Yeah, he gave him a transceiver. Please testify what you saw. Right away. The second time he gave... This time, I was in the hallway because I had to go to the bathroom. And that's when the bellboy I saw earlier came out of the room. Of course, when I say room, I mean Juan Carita's room. Now that I think about it, that bellboy did seem kind of out of place. So he had to be the assassin, I'm sure of it. I mean... Thank you very much. That's all we need to know now. Huh? But I'm not done. There's still more. Let us first establish that the bellboy was truly Mr. the Killer. Then we shall see. So the bellboy came out of the victim's room. And if the bellboy really was the assassin, then I think the answer is fairly obvious. That would be correct, Your Honor. Well, Mr. Wright, I believe it's your turn to entertain and make us laugh. Ha, 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 ha. This is no laughing matter. The second time. This time, I was in that hallway because I had to go to the bathroom. Oh, wait. And what time was it? Oh, well, I don't remember. The award ended around 8 p.m., right? And I went to Matt's room pretty soon after that, and then I came back, and then I went to the bathroom. So I guess it may be around 8:10 by that time. You're not one for details, are you, Mr. Powers? Sorry. I thought I could maybe catch Matt and say my congrats. Are you sure it was the same bellboy? Yeah. And how could you tell? All the bellboys wear the same uniform after all. But you see, well, he had those stitches in his face. Ugh. So I'm sure it's the same guy that was talking with Matt. So which room did the bellboy come out of? The victim's room, huh? Yeah, the one with all the real pretty flowers and teddy bears. It was Juan's room, all right. Words cannot describe how screwed I am. Let's continue with the testimony, shall we? So what exactly was out of place about him? Right. What an insipid grin. Maybe because I have no idea what damaging thing he's going to say next. The bellboy was empty-handed. Empty-handed? The bellboy was one of those room service people, right? But he wasn't pushing a cart, and he wasn't holding a tray either. You'd call that a little strange too, wouldn't you? I agree that it is a bit strange, Mr. Powers. But is it really that unusual for a bellboy to be empty-handed? Which I do. Try to pull a fast one. There's nothing strange or unusual about an empty-handed bellboy. But there really is. There really isn't. If you two are done being school children, bellboys are for room service. There's no reason for them to be empty-handed. Ever. Your Honor, I ask that the witness's previous statement be supplanted with this new one. Edgeworth, are you going to do whatever you can to make the bellboy look suspicious? Very well. This court recognizes and grants the prosecution's request. Mr. Powers, if you could amend your testimony, please. Yes, Your Honor. Guest room empty-handed. Let's... wine glass. Mr. Powers. Yes? You're easily influenced by other people's words, aren't you? As soon as you heard the bellboy might have been the killer, you got caught up in believing it might be true. But isn't he really suspicious? He's got all those stitches, and... So, a baseball has stitches? Are you saying all baseballs are suspicious because they have stitches? Well, there's also... what about him being empty-handed? I would like to ask the court to please take a look here. This is the crime scene. There's a wine glass sitting next to Mr. Carrito's body. The liquid inside this glass is tomato juice. And now, if you would look at what is on top of the table in the lower right corner here. Anyone can clearly see it is a tray with a bottle of tomato juice on it. The bellboy had just brought this to Mr. Carrito's room. He left the tray in the room, which is why he was empty-handed when he left. But that would mean that the bellboy had seen and left the dead body in the room. But can you prove that Mr. Carrito was already dead at that time? Mr. Edgeworth. Yes? I blame you for leading me down this route. I'm terribly sorry. What is with him? Why is he laughing? Witness, isn't there one more thing you would like to share with us? Is there? The bellboy was empty-handed, or should I say empty-handed? I recall you had something interesting to say about his hands. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Huh? What? The bellboy, he was wearing gloves. Gloves? Yeah, pitch black, leather ones. All the other bellboys don't wear gloves like that, right? Black leather gloves. Why didn't you mention them earlier? Sorry, it slipped my mind. Boy, does this make the bellboy look really suspicious. Alright, got to focus. I can't get lax here. So what if he had gloves? A lot of bellboys wear gloves. Come on, Mr. Wright. That bellboy was wearing black leather gloves. So, a football is made of leather? Are you saying all footballs are suspicious because they are made of leather? But that man, he received a large roll of cash from the defendant. And then he was seen leaving the crime scene wearing black leather gloves. I don't think that even someone like myself can believe he was just another bellboy. It seems we have finally come to an understanding. Now then, witness, please continue with the rest of your testimony. The rest. Oh yes, please tell us more. Okay. After leaving Juan's room, the bellboy went and knocked on Matt's door, just like that. He gave something to the person inside the room. Then the old guy just left without even going into the room. After that, I went to the bathroom and then back to my seat. But Matt was asleep. So the bellboy, after leaving the crime scene, went to the defendant's room. Yeah, I kind of saw that by accident. Some accident. I'd say you saw too much. And all of it was suspicious to high heaven. I think it's safe to say that we can no longer consider this bellboy to be normal. Now then, let's start, shall we? Mr. Wright, your cross-examination. Yes, Your Honor. The second meeting. This one. I said hold it. Okay. That's better. Ahem. What kind of statement is that? Please elaborate and give us a few more details. Oh, okay. Should probably ask him one question at a time. About the person inside. So who took this something the bellboy handed off? I don't know. What do you mean? I'm sorry, but I only saw the person's arm. Only an arm? Then you're saying you didn't see the person's face. Yeah. Well, it was Mr. Engarde's room, correct? So it could have only have been Mr. Engarde himself, you say? Then. And then what did the bellboy do after that? Oh, so after he gave the person inside the room the thing... Let's try this one more time. Ask about the something. He gave something to this person. Yeah. And what was this something? Ha ha ha. If I remembered what it was, I wouldn't be calling it something, would I? But it implies that something was removed from the scene of the crime. And you sure you really can't remember, Mr. Powers? I think it was something kind of small. I would like to summarize the testimony up to this point, if you don't mind. When the bellboy left the crime scene, he immediately went to the defendant's room. There, he handed a small item of some sort to the person inside. As for the person who received the item, all you could see was the person's arm. Yes, it was just like that. Is all this really important? Of course, Your Honor. I think this is of the utmost importance. This is when whatever was removed from the crime scene was handed over to the client. Mr. Powers, please try to remember what it was the bellboy handed off. Let's see, I think it was... No. If you remember, please add it to your testimony. Yes, sir. If I saw it again, I could say for sure, but I think it was some sort of wooden statue.
Objection!
What was the point of that pregnant pause? Where did that objection come from? Well, speak up. It was me, Your Honor. What is it, Phoenix? I have a feeling that something bad is going to happen once I show this. Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Powers, there's something you saw. Was it this item? That's it. That's the something. Wow, Mr. Wright, you really figured it out. I recall we found this at Matt Engarde's mansion. At the defendant's house? But the defendant was arrested right away. It's simple, Your Honor. Shelley the killer assassinated Juan Corrida in his room. Then he stole this wooden bear from the scene of the crime. Then the bear being found at Mr. Engarde's mansion would mean... It goes without saying, Your Honor. Mr. Matt Engarde is the killer's client. Order, order, order. I said order. Mr. Wright, this is a most unfortunate turn of events for you. Yeah, sorry, Mia. No, it's alright. Your judgment was sound. Actually, I figured the bear would come up. If not now, then it would have later on. Even if you hadn't shown it to the court, I'm sure your friend Edgeworth would have. I almost forgot that he knew about it too. I think it's clear that there's no need for us to continue this trial. I can't let this happen. I have to do something. There has to be something we've overlooked. Your Honor, a minute please. Yes, Mr. Wright. There's still a few points left that have not been fully explored. What are you trying to pull? Oh? Well, we can't have that. All right, Mr. Wright. What questionable point? Okay. Ask about the person who received the bear. There was one thing in Mr. Powers' testimony that was very unclear, and that is the identity of the person who received the bear. He gave something to the person inside the room. I'm sorry, but I only saw the person's arm. As long as we don't know who it is that took the bear. We can't be sure of... Ah! Well, what is it, Mr. Powers? If you're going to scream like that, then at least give us a good reason why. Oh, yeah, sorry. Actually, so I remembered. I remembered who took the bear. What? Really? I mean, I only saw his arm. But the arm... It was the Nickel Samurai's arm, I swear. You've got to be kidding. Are you sure of that, Mr. Powers? Yeah, I'm sure it was the Nickel Samurai. Order, order. It looks like you've dug your own grave, yet again. How many times is that today? I've lost count. So the person who took this little bear was the Nickel Samurai. And as we all know, Matt Engarde is the Nickel Samurai. Thanks to the defense, we've made that all clear. What am I supposed to do now, Mia? Help! You don't have time to act lost. You've got to find another angle to attack this from. Hurry. Your Honor, again, Mr. Wright, we've already removed any and all questionable areas of this testimony. It's about time you were removed from this court, Mr. Wright. I have to find something, even one more little point will do. There are still questions left unanswered. What are you trying to pull? We can't have that, alright? The bear itself. I think it's fairly obvious that the bear itself is very questionable. The bear, Mr. Wright? This was found at Mr. Engarde's mansion. However, Mr. Engarde was arrested at the hotel that night, which means that since the murder occurred, he has not had a chance to go home. Oh, I think Your Honor has already figured out what I'm trying to say. It is not possible that it was Mr. Engarde who took this bear to his mansion. Why, that's very true. We didn't consider that point, Mr. Wright. There's no way, time-wise, for the defendant to have taken this bear home. Disaster averted, it looks. You haven't gotten the best of me yet, Mr. Wright. I remember it clear as day. I remember what you muttered to yourself at Engarde's mansion. We have this area completely surrounded. There's no way for him to escape. I can't believe it. That butler. All this time, he was the killer. The killer and Engarde were working together, so to speak. And the killer was hiding at Engarde's mansion as its butler. What a bold move. The bear figurine was brought back to Engarde mansion by the killer himself. When it looked like he was about to be arrested, Engarde had himself do so. I assume because it would have been bad had the police found it during their investigation. Yes, that would have been bad. Well, Mr. Wright, you've been quiet for a while now. This is too much. There isn't anything I can attack at all. Excuse me. I think we've heard enough. We now know why this bear figurine was at the defendant's mansion, as well as who it was that received the bear from the assassin in his room. Everything has become very clear. The client who hired the assassin to commit the murder was Mr. Matt Engarde. I see no reason for this trial to continue. Furthermore, I will now hand down my verdict. Thank you, Your Honor, for your understanding. You see, Mr. Wright, you could not win against the truth, could you? I knew it would turn out this way. After all, what Edgeworth has stated is the truth. Any last objections, Mr. Wright? Well, what should I do? Raise an objection. There's only one way for me to drag this trial out. The only thing I have left is this dirty trick. Your Honor, right now we have these two reasons to believe my client is the real assassin. Reason number one, he accepted the bear figurine from the assassin. And reason number 2, that very same figurine was found at Engarde Mansion. However, it's possible this is all the work of a certain other person. What are you saying? What I'm saying is, it's possible a different person is the killer's real client. The real client? Yes. Is this all you have? Now then, Mr. Wright, let's hear your theory. Who do you say is the killer's real client, and therefore the real murderer?
Take that!
Adrian Andrews? Yes, we already know that she tried to frame Matt Engarde for the crime by wearing a spare nickel samurai costume. Ah, then the nickel samurai arm that I saw, that could have very well been Miss Andrews. But what about Engarde? If you would please recall yesterday's testimony. The defendant was taking a nap during the break period. That's right. Then finding this figure at Mr. Engarde's mansion, it was a well-laid trap set by Miss Andrews. Mr. Edgeworth, what is your opinion of this? I can't even begin to count the flaws in the defense's logic. Besides which, there is no evidence to support it. However, I can't fully discount its possibility either. So he is playing along with us to give us more time. Anyone can tell Engarde did it. I can't believe the defense would go so far as to pin the guilt on someone else. Unbelievable. It's not something petty, it's murder of all things. This is to save Maya. This is to save Maya. Even if the whole world turns against me, this is one fight I can't give up on. Order, order, order. All disruptive parties will be forced to leave the courtroom. Your Honor. For the benefit of the defense, I'm willing to play along with his what-if game. His what-if game, Mr. Edgeworth? The prosecution is prepared to challenge the defense's theory. Mr. Wright, even you must have thought it strange and wondered, why would the criminal want this little wooden bear? He's right. The killer did specially bring that bear to Mr. Engarde, right? Why do you ask? Is there something special about it? Absolutely. And I'm sure that once the court knows of its significance, the true killer's identity will become crystal clear. Your Honor, the prosecution calls upon a witness who will clear all doubts against Miss Andrews. And who would that be? It's quite simple, Your Honor. Miss Adrian Andrews herself. I see. Well then, the court will take a short 10-minute recess. The prosecution will prepare the witness at the time. Yes, Your Honor. Oh, we're not done yet. I knew it was a good idea to hold her hostage. Don't you agree, Mr. Lawyer? But I never thought in your desperation you tried to pin the guilt on Adrian. Swear this demon will pay. Mr. Nick! Pearls! Where's Mia? I don't know. A really strong power suddenly called her away. A really strong power. Mr. Nick, your phone is... It's from Gumshoe. How's it going? Have you been hanging in there, pal? Yeah, sort of. We just barely found something to latch onto. That's good, pal. And what about you? Anything yet? Have you figured out where the killer and Maya are? We still don't have any leads, but... What? We don't have any more time. If we just had one, even a single clue, that would be really helpful. I was only able to come this far because I kept thinking to myself, I've got to keep this trial going until Maya's been rescued. But have I just run out of luck this time? Is all our hope for naught? A tent. Huh? A tent. I could see a circus tent. Mia! It looks like Maya was unconscious until a few minutes ago. As soon as she woke up, she called for me. So it was Maya who called you away. She's locked in a dusty room right now. But I could see a circus tent outside the window about 300 feet away. Gumshoe, is there a circus in town right now? There's only one, pal, the Berry Big Circus. Maya is somewhere within a 300-foot radius of the main tent. What? Okay, hold on a sec, pal. Hey, draw a circle on that map. About 300-foot radius from the main tent. Hurry. And I could see a mailbox under the window just outside. Gumshoe, there's also a mailbox. Okay, what else? What else, Mia? I'm sorry, but it was very small window. I couldn't see anything else. I felt like I was in an old office building. Maybe the 3rd floor or so? I heard her. An old office building. Good stuff, pal. Okay, just hang in there a little longer, pal. Wish us luck. Good luck. I'll call you later, so don't let your battery die, okay, pal? Mia, Maya's not hurt, right? She's in a pretty bad state, Phoenix. She's being starved. Gumshoe, please hurry. Looks like we're out of time. Are you alright, Phoenix? It's only a matter of time before Maya is rescued. I can do this. I just have to make this trial last a little longer. Court will now reconvene. The killer, the man who murdered the victim, handed this to his client. From this, the obvious question arises. Why this particular item? I believe the answer to that question will provide us with the name of the real culprit. Now then, the prosecution calls the defendant's manager, Adrian Andrews, to the stand. Currently, the witness is accused of tampering and obstruction of justice. However, you have been called to the witness stand today to ascertain who exactly is guilty of murder. I understand. Very good. Now, have you ever seen this bear before, Miss Andrews? Of course I have. You have seen it before. That's right, it's only natural that the witness has. Miss Andrews, could you please enlighten the court to this bear's secrets? All right. Why does she... Did a bear attack Engarde? Actually, this is an elaborate puzzle. If you know the correct order, it can be taken apart one piece at a time. At its center is a small cavity with just enough room to store a small item. Because of its complexity, if you don't know the order, you can't open the bear. You really can't tell that it's a small jewelry box just by looking at it. The suicide note is inside it. So this figurine, it's a container of sorts, is it? Yes. Looks can be deceiving, wouldn't you agree? Yes, this is superb craftsmanship. Oh yes, I nearly forgot. You may begin your cross-examination, Mr. Wright. Looks like there really was something to the bear after all. It has the suicide note. Celeste's suicide note in it. A puzzle. That's right. But it looks like an ordinary figurine. True enough. To people who don't know, I'm sure they would never guess that this was a puzzle. So what kind of puzzle is this exactly? If you know the correct order, it can be taken apart one piece at a time. So you can take it apart. And how would you go about doing that? Well, you first turn its tail to the right and then push it in. Oh, yes, I see. After that, the arms and legs are free to move and can be removed. Oh, this is most interesting. A boy and his new toy. It's like he's 5 all over again. Oh, don't mind me. Go ahead and carry on. I think he's lost it. So what do you find after you take the puzzle apart? At its center is a small cavity with just enough room to store a small object. And how do you know about this? I know because I was the one who bought it. Huh? It was a souvenir from when a friend and I went to Switzerland. Then this was a present from you. That's right. It was a puzzle in the shape of a bear, so I thought it would be perfect for Juan. So it was a present from Miss Andrews. Witness, let's continue with your testimony. Because of its complexity, the bear can't be opened. So who exactly knew how to solve this puzzle? Only the 2 of us, Juan and myself. It was a souvenir from Switzerland, so I doubt there are that many people with this same bear in this country. But it looks like it can be easily broken, especially if someone wanted to get inside that. Well, it's a toy, but it can never be the same once it's been broken. That's why it has cuts in it. Matt was trying to break in. The suicide note is inside of it. I definitely feel like that's the answer. Who else knows that this bear is actually a small container or jewelry box? I never told anyone. And as long as Juan never told anyone either, then only the 2 of us knew. The 2 of you, huh? Then of course that means Mr. Engarde didn't know, right? I think this is all I'm about to get for now. Well, Mr. Wright, I think even you have come to realize that there is one very important fact we have uncovered, and that is this. The bear is actually a jewelry box. Now that we have agreed to this point, there's only one logical question that we can come next, and that is this. What is inside this box? What's inside? That's right. That's what we are going to find out next. Witness. Yes. You are the only one who can open this. Please. There's a painful silence hanging over the courtroom. All eyes are on Miss Andrew now as she solves the puzzle and takes the bear apart. Click. I've opened it. Is this what you wanted? What is that? It looks like a note. I don't think we need to guess what that is, do we, Mr. Wright? It's the suicide note. The suicide note. The suicide note left by Juan Corrida's former manager, Celeste Impact. Until now, no one knew of its whereabouts, but just as we suspected, it was hidden. Hidden by the victim, Juan Corrida himself. It seems Celeste Impacts had very beautiful handwriting, and she just as beautifully signed her own name on this document. This is most definitely the note she left right before she committed suicide. Order! Witness, did you know about this? Yes, I did. I heard all about it from Juan. When I discovered his body, I looked for the bear. I wanted to destroy the note before it became public. But I couldn't find it anywhere, because it had already been taken by the killer. Everything is going at Mr. Edgeworth's pace. So now that the suicide note has been found, what is the next logical question? What is written on the note? That's right. At least that's what I would think. Now then, I believe it is only appropriate the contents of the note be made known. I can't stop you, can I? I went through so much just to get my hands on it, and I was going to burn it for her sake. I'm deeply sorry, but I can't allow you to persuade me to stop. Your Honor, if you could please read the contents of this note aloud. Very well. The judge's voice rang loudly and clear through the deathly silent courtroom. In her note, Celeste Impax left to us a record of all that had happened to her, about being used and then thrown away by Engarde, about being engaged to Carita and Engarde's role in destroying that, and about how she decided, in her despair, to end it all. And that's all Miss Impax had to say. There's one thing I would like to say here. The prosecution has no interest in slandering Mr. Engarde. Then what? Our intention, Your Honor, is to establish a motive for murder. Isn't that correct, witness? Yes. On the night of the murder, Juan was going to make the contents of the note public. After the post-ceremony show, he was going to hold a press conference. My word, Matt Engarde values above all else his refreshing like a spring breeze image, which is why he had to stop this note from being made public. At any cost. It's Engarde's fault that woman killed herself. And this time, he even went as far as to kill someone to stop him from revealing it. How terrible. What a selfish person. I guess there are slimeball lawyers who out there would protect anyone. Again, literally every lawyer who ends up with an actual guilty client cannot really stop defending them. Mr. DeKiller's client's goal is to obtain this suicide note. And the only person who needed this note that badly is the defendant. Let's not forget that the bear with the note inside was found at the defendant's house. It seems we have come to the truth at last. The defendant's motives were entirely selfish. He deserves no sympathy from anyone. How am I supposed to escape from this one? Why, the hesitation Phoenix Gumshoe hasn't called yet. So you know what you must do. I know. I have to carry on and buy him more time. Okay, there are two deadly pieces of evidence, the figurine and the suicide note. Maybe somehow I can find a way out of this situation through one of those. The gavel is already in the judge's hand. Hurry, Phoenix. The gavel or the figurine? Okay, so good news. This doesn't matter. But we're gonna make it matter. He couldn't possibly have known about the note. Wait, Your Honor. Look at that lawyer. He's still going at it. It's like he doesn't care that he's trying to get a killer off the hook. I think Your Honor believes that Matt Engarde killed in order to obtain this note. Yes, that is correct. But that seems a little strange. In fact, I think there's a contradiction here. This note was hidden by Mr. Carita until the night of the murder. If that is the case, I say that Matt Engarde could not have known what was written on this note. I didn't think of it that way. Exactly, but I did think of it that way, and I thought it was rather strange. No one in their right mind would kill for a note without first knowing what it was. Order, order, order. You make a valid point, Mr. Wright. Mr. Edgeworth, what is your opinion? It was just a flash, but I think I did rather well on this one. Unfortunately, I think he believes differently. I believe a show of appreciation is in order. Huh? The defense seems to be in love with wishing more despair upon itself. I would like to direct the court's attention to this. What is that? It's a very small camera, Your Honor. This type of camera is commonly used as a means of spying. Spying? What the? I thought the spy camera was in my possession. Matt Engarde and the victim both thought of the other as their biggest rival. They even went so far as to use this type of item to find each other's weaknesses. And the victim, Juan Carita, was being spied on. His personal life was being watched by none other than Matt Engarde. Interesting theory. Order! Order! Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. You, don't tell me you knew about the client's spying activities. Well, sort of. Sort of is not an acceptable answer, Mr. Wright. I see you are confused, Mr. Wright. You're probably thinking, but I have the camera that was in the stuffed bear's eye. But this camera that I have is not the same one. Last night I searched the victim's house on a hunch, using this Gumshoe's bug sweeper. By the way, Mr. Wright, the defendant's fingerprints were found on this camera. Mr. Engarde's fingerprints were on there? Well, Phoenix, it looks like those cameras were hidden all over the place, huh? What am I supposed to say to that evidence? I think this is the end. It's fairly obvious that Mr. Engarde learned of the suicide note through this. He was watching the victim all along. He got me good this time. I don't have anything to counter that. What was that lawyer thinking? Mommy, is that man the bad guy killer? Don't look at him. The way he's sweating is just so, ew, nasty. Phoenix. Yes, Chief? Have you figured out what you're going to do next yet? What am I going to do next? Does running away like a frightened child work? I know it seems like Mr. Edgeworth is very close to putting a lid on this case, but in his eagerness to prove his point, he forgot one very important thing. What is it, Mia? There's a piece of evidence that he really should investigate. Something he should investigate. I would really hate to see the good prosecutor get scolded for not remembering to look into the item when he had the chance. Why are you speaking in riddles? I think this time we finally understand everything. Well, Mr. Wright, you don't have any further objections, do you? Can I figure it out? Present evidence. I have an objection, Your Honor. Miles is not the bad guy. He's literally trying to... He's doing his job, but he's leaving enough open gaps for me to keep going and prevent the verdict until we can find Maya.
Objection!
Your Honor, the defense has no intent of letting this go so easily. You are beginning to sound desperate. That's just your imagination, Your Honor. Mr. Edgeworth, this is not like you at all. In your eagerness to prove your point, you've forgotten one very important thing. Isn't that what I just said? So you're telling me that I forgot something? You're so close, Mr. Edgeworth. But there's something you really should examine about this piece of evidence.
Take that!
That is Miss Impact's suicide note, right? Who knows? I mean, sure, the suicide note was found inside this bear, but this bear was in my possession until only a few moments ago. Which means the handwriting on this suicide note has yet to be analyzed. So, as to whether this pivotal piece of evidence is really written by Miss Impacts or not, that has yet to be remotely confirmed. Very true. Alright, you can't seriously be Mr. Wright. Are you saying this suicide note is a fake? Miss Andrews, you were the one who tried to pin this murder on Engarde. Who's to say you didn't create a fake suicide note and put it into this bear? How dare you? Your Honor, the defense is indiscriminately accusing the witness again. There's no evidence linking the witness to the suicide note whatsoever. But if this is fake, then the witness is the only person who could have made it. What? Recall the witness's testimony concerning this figurine. The only person other than the victim who could solve the puzzle is the witness herself. Miss Andrews, you wrote this note, didn't you? You wrote it so you could use it to frame Matt Engarde. I did no such thing. Mr. Wright, if you're going to pronounce this suicide note a fake, then show this court some evidence to support your theory. Mr. Edgeworth, you were the one who presented this scrap of paper as evidence. That means the burden of proof lies with you, the prosecution. That's enough. Mr. Edgeworth, can you confirm the handwriting on this suicide note? It is as the defense has stated, the handwriting has yet to be analyzed. If that's the case, it seems that yet again we have reached a point where a verdict is impossible. Impossible. This isn't good, Phoenix. The judge is going to carry this trial over one more day. I don't think Maya will physically be able to make it a day. I didn't want to have to do this, but I don't have a choice. I request that both the prosecution and defense further investigate. Handwriting analysis, my butt. That's just a lawyer. Engarde is guilty. Look, an idiot can tell you that. I think we've reached the end of the line. Guilty, 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 guilty. Good thing this isn't a court of public... I mean, it is a court of public opinion. He's ruined no matter what. Well, what is that sound? It's Gumshoe. Hello, Gumshoe? What is with him? And what is with that sigh? Where's Maya? What happened to the killer? He got away. What? I'm sorry, pal. I really am. I don't know what else to say. I'm sorry. I wish there was some way I can make it up to you. What's going on? We found his hideout, pal, but the two of them were already gone. This is terrible. I'm going to keep looking for them, pal. Don't you worry. I need a little more time. But don't tell me we don't have any more? Guilty, 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 guilty. Do you hear that? They're calling for his head. Mr. Wright, I can't. For us to come this far and... Oh. Well, what is it? Let me talk to Edgeworth. I can't do that. Mr. Wright, would you please get a hold of yourself? Yes, Your Honor. I'm about to end today's proceedings. You may take your phone calls after. Hold on, Your Honor. Edgeworth, catch. Take that! Oh my god. Mr. Edgeworth. Please, you've got to buy us some more time. Court is in session. Beep. I'm sorry, Your Honor. You were saying... Mr. Wright, this is a court of law. I'm sorry, Your Honor, but... I am reluctant to do this, however. It appears I have no choice but to suspend proceedings until tomorrow. I really can't do anything. Court is now adjourned for the day. Come on, Miles. Do the right thing.
Objection!
Please wait, Your Honor. Edgeworth. What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? I humbly request another 30 minutes of Your Honor's time. For what purpose? We can perform the necessary tests on this piece of evidence at that time. But can you really obtain the results in 30 minutes? I believe we can, Your Honor. But wouldn't it be better if we adjourned for today and reconvene tomorrow? 30 minutes, please, Your Honor. That's all I'm asking for. Please, Your Honor. Very well. At the prosecution's request, this court will take a 30-minute recess, but be advised, I will not allow another recess today. I'm not sure if this is helping or hurting us. The court will now take its final recess of the day. Right. Well, what's going on with the Maya situation? The killer looks like he got away again. 30 minutes. We can't find her in that time. Report. Is that Mr. Edgeworth? We don't have time. Just spit it out. Right. It looks like we just missed them, sir. But the killer left a few things behind by accident in his rush to get away. A few things. Can we use any of them as evidence? I thought you'd ask, pal. I've got the things he left with me right now, and I'm on my way over. Really? That's odd. Any items like that are usually sent to the crime lab first. We don't have time to wait for those guys, sir. When those guys weren't looking, I swiped the stuff and ran. What? Well, I'm not a detective anymore, so I had to. I'm really sorry, sir, but I've got to put the law on hold for now. Sounds bad. I hope he doesn't get in too much trouble over this. With my hunk of junk car, I'd say I'd be there in about 20 minutes, sir. Don't worry. I'll be there. Wait for me. Alright, just get here in one piece. I'm on a mission, and no one can stop me now, sir. No one. I'm pulling out all the stops and running every red light. Items left behind. Left by the murderer. Maybe there's something among them that will be decisive enough to end this. What's wrong? Detective Gumshoe? Answer me. No one can stop me. He crashed. What happened? It sounded like he had an accident. I'm guessing his cell phone broke as well. What was he thinking? We've got to hurry and call for help, but we have no idea where he is. His cell phone is broken, and he wasn't driving a patrol car, so no radio either. Also, if we don't get to those items before they do, the police will take possession of them. We can't let that happen. Well, if there was a way we could find out where he is, then he's got a tracker on him. Why oh why did Gumshoe have to get into an accident now? Is there any way to find out exactly where he is at this moment? There is a way. That's right, there is a way. What? How? I'm sure we can find through this. Why are you bringing up Franziska at a time like... Oh, I see. I'll try to get in contact with her. The chances are slim, but she's all we have. Franziska. Will she even want to help us? Yeah, because it means that we're gonna lose the case, and that's what she wants. Edgeworth. What is it? I don't have any right to judge anyone ever again. I know my client is guilty, but what I'm doing now, I'm pinning the guilt onto someone totally innocent and using the evidence to do so. It might be my turn to say defense attorney Phoenix Wright chooses death. Right. It doesn't suit someone like you to cry useless tears. Whether you did your job well or not, that can only be seen after the verdict has been decided. The verdict. The prosecutor, Edgeworth... Is Prosecutor Edgeworth here? Yes, bailiff. There's a phone call for you, sir. They said it was extremely urgent. They're probably finished with the handwriting analysis. I have to go take this call. In the meantime, think hard about what it is you must do. Oh my gosh! We're in the final stretch, and this is the most intense twist of turns trial ever. I hate needing to defend guilty clients. It's awful. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it for today's episode. Next time will be the finale as we wrap up the story of Farewell, My Turnabout. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a comment in the comment section below, mash the like button, and subscribe if you have not for more Phoenix Wright content. I hope to see you guys in the grand finale, where we can finally turn the tables on our own client and get him to face the charges he is duly deserving. We'll see you guys then. Later.